Your work offshore often takes you a long way from land. In fact, it's pretty likely that your drilling unit won't even be in sight of the shoreline. You work on the water in a remote location, and you work at a job that can be hazardous. So there could come a time when you'd have to abandon the rig. An explosion, collision, uncontrollable fire, or other disaster could make it necessary for you to leave the rig and wait for rescue. And rescue would most likely be fast. For example, there's almost always a standby boat or service boat near the rig. Also, rescue craft can be sent into the area fast because the exact position of your rig is always known, even when it's being towed in mid-ocean. Of course, the chances are very slim that you'll ever have to abandon your rig, but it always pays to be prepared. Part of being prepared is being able to recognize the meaning of the different alarm signals on your rig. And once you identify an alarm, knowing exactly where to go and what to do when you get there. Station bills on your rig are posted in plain view. They tell you the meaning of different alarm signals and your station and duties for each emergency. For example, on this station bill, the abandoned platform signal is the sounding of alarm bells. Note that it also lists the different signals for a fire or dismissal from station. Of course, the signals may be entirely different on your rig, so be sure you know them. The station bill assigns a station, lifeboat, and specific duties to each crewman, both on and off tower, and gives additional assignments for fire and emergencies. You can see that there's a lot of essential information in the station bill. Study the one on your rig so you'll know the alarm signals and what you are supposed to do. When the alarm to abandon the rig sounds, the first thing you should do is put on a life preserver. There are several different kinds of life preservers, and all of them keep you afloat with your face out of the water if you're unconscious. Newer life preservers are equipped with emergency lights and whistles. Take a little time to check out the life preserver you will use on your rig. Be sure you know how to fasten it correctly. And make sure it has reflective tape. Life preservers may be stored in your sleeping quarters or your work area. Wear your emergency life preserver only for disasters or drills. Always return it to storage to keep it dry and protected when not in use. Proper care of this equipment may save your life. In fact, the Coast Guard checks all safety equipment every year. If major damage is found, they can require the company to supply replacements. This is an expensive measure offshore. Another reason to know proper handling. So, wear a work vest when you need a flotation device for your normal duties. They're specially made to stand wear and tear. When the time comes to get off the rig, you'll need to know a little about 3 basic types of escape craft. First, there are lifeboats, which usually hang at or near the main deck level for easy entry. Before launching a lifeboat or any escape craft, you should make sure everyone assigned to that station is accounted for. By the way, can you tell what's wrong with this picture? Right. Everyone here should be wearing a hard hat. Always wait for a signal from the person in charge. This could be your tool pusher or company man. He is in charge of all procedures and responsible for the safety of everyone aboard. After you get the okay to launch, you can pull this white cable. This lowers the lifeboat quickly and safely to the water. Of course, fasten your seatbelt and remember to keep it on even when the boat is being lowered or lifted. Space yourselves evenly when you buckle in. This way the boat can't swamp and the prop stays in the water so you have good steering control. Lifeboats have a diesel marine engine and carry enough fuel to last 24 hours. Newer lifeboats are equipped with covers and water spray systems to keep things cool and protected if fire surrounds you during escape. The capsule is a second type of escape craft that is widely used offshore. They hang at deck level like lifeboats. Unlike lifeboats, they have a single-line launch system which lets the capsule splash down evenly. Launch procedure is much the same in boats and capsules. Let's look at the capsule to see how it's done. First, pull the descent lever located outside the capsule hatch. Only after the capsule completely descends do you pull the second lever. It is located inside. The second lever opens this Rotmer hook, which releases the capsule from any height. It's very important to remember the difference between the two handles. If you pull the wrong one first, you may not survive the fall. Once you are safely in the water, the single-line launch makes recovery easy. Like lifeboats, capsules carry survival equipment on board and are self-propelled. The life raft is a third type of escape craft. The Coast Guard requires offshore rigs to provide rafts as backups to the main boat or capsule system. Inflatable rafts often come in containers like this one. They inflate automatically when pushed overboard and must be boarded from the water. These rafts also have a device that reacts to water pressure. If the rig should sink, they inflate automatically and break away from the submerged rig. Since 1979, the Coast Guard requires the inflatable rafts on new rigs to be davit launched like this one. This type of raft can be boarded at deck level and then lowered. Another commonly used raft is a rigid raft, which is also called a life float. Once you're in the water in any escape craft, you should get a safe distance away from the rig, about 400 yards, and circle. You'll be even safer floating in company, so if you can, tie up with the other rafts or boats and await rescue in the rig area. No matter how bad it may seem, you will stand a better chance if you stay in your escape craft and wait out any rough weather. A tow or transfer in rough seas could mean disaster. Establish contact with your rescue boat. Some escape craft are equipped with radios to make communication easier. If there is no radio and the seas are calm, just raise the hatch to communicate.
Hey!
The key decisions to tow or transfer are made jointly by the commander of the rescue boat and the person in charge of the escape craft, although final responsibility always rests with the person in charge of the escape craft. Because it is so dangerous, you should only tow when necessary, such as in the case of engine failure. You can hook up a lifeboat at either end for towing, but because capsules are shaped differently, it makes a big difference where you tie them up for towing. Never lasso the top of a capsule to tow. Instead, only use the towing bridle or the pad eye. Tying up anywhere else is a serious mistake, and one that could cause you to capsize. Transfer from the escape craft to the rescue boat is another key point where you need good judgment. Remember to wait for safe conditions and don't panic. Otherwise, you risk injury and even capsizing right at the point of rescue. Transfer away from the rear of the rescue boat to avoid accidents. And of course, let any injured persons go first. In case someone does end up in the water, you should know what to do to help him. For instance, one of the quickest things you can do is grab a life ring. They hang within easy reach on the guardrails of your rig and can also be tossed out during a rig abandonment as a precautionary measure. Smoke signals and personnel lights can be attached to life rings to make it easier to spot a man in mid-ocean. But if you can, use a boat or capsule for retrieval. A strong current can make it impossible to reach a man with that life ring. If for some reason you can't get to a lifeboat or capsule, there are different types of ladders you can use to avoid the hazard of jumping. For instance, once you crank down this metal ladder, you can climb down to the water, or you can also use the scramble nets, which may be hung over the side. This Jacob's ladder is attached to the rail in a neat bundle, so that when you release it, it automatically unrolls. Or your rig might be outfitted with knotted ropes, like this one. While none of these are as safe as a lifeboat or capsule, they still beat jumping. Because of the dangerous height, jumping overboard should be your last resort, because you could be seriously injured. We don't advise it, but if there is no other escape, here are some suggestions that might help. Try to get to the lowest point on the rig that you can. And always put on extra clothing if you have the time. This extra protection is especially important in cold water. In fact, a special survival suit is required on Arctic rigs. Without it, you would last only minutes in freezing water. Here's an overall view of the correct body position to take as you get ready to jump. Let's go into more detail. First, take your hard hat off and put your hand over your mouth and nose. Then, with your other hand, grip your life preserver at the neck and shoulder. This way your life preserver won't slip off when you enter the water. Press your elbows tightly against your chest. Crossing your arms supports the hand covering your mouth and nose, so the impact of the water won't knock it away from your face. If your hand does get knocked away, you could be choked by salt water. Before you jump, look down to make sure you have a clear entry path. Watch for objects floating in the water and for things sticking out from the rig. When you jump, keep your legs crossed and go feet first. Keep your eyes on the horizon where the sky meets the water. This will help keep your body erect and ensure that you drop straight down and enter feet first. Once you're in the water, remain as close to the rig as possible. You will increase your survival time if you can relax. Don't try to swim against the current. Since you lose most of your body heat through your head, keep as far out of the water as possible. Remember that water conducts heat many times faster than air. Assume the help position, or the heat escape lessening position, while you float. It is basically a fetal position, with arms and legs folded close to the body. This reduces the area of body surface that is exposed to the water and protects areas of high heat loss like the sides and groin. Try to stay calm. All rescue efforts will be concentrated near your rig, so your wait will most likely be a short one. Of course, no real emergency is cut and dried. Any number of things can happen to quickly change the situation. But don't panic. Just remember, the best chance for the survival of everyone on your rig is to know right away the safest thing to do when this alarm means? Can you get to a life preserver? What's next when you can't get to your lifeboat? Do you remember how to launch the capsule? Can you get someone out of the water? Can you find a way off the rig without jumping? So, read your station bill, check out your safety equipment, and put them together with frequent drills. That is what being prepared means, and that's your best bet.